We continue now at the top of Daf Nun Dalet Amud Aleph in Meseches Bava Kamma. This is Bava Kamma Daf 54a. And the previous Amud the Gemara had a machlokas tanoim whether bor is chayiv by kalim or not. According to the Rabbanan, bor is pater by kalim. We say shor v'lo adam, chamor v'lo kalim. But Rabbi Yehuda says that the word o in the pasuk comes to include even kalim by bor. And the Rabbanan respond to that o mi boile lechalik, that the word o is necessary to divide. Rashi explains lechalik delo tema eno chayiv ad shipol sham shor v'chamor biyachad. You might think that it means to say that you're only chayiv if an ox and a donkey fall into the board together. That's why it says shor o chamor, either a shor or a chamor. For Rabbi Yehuda, now Rabbi Yehuda, where does he understand lechalik? Rabbi Yehuda lechalik mi v'nafal nafka. He learns out lechalik from the word v'nafal. Rashi says v'nafal lashon yachid. It's a language of singular, and therefore since it's singular, that means it's talking about the shor or the chamor. You don't need the o, and therefore the o again is to include kalim according to Rabbi Yehuda. For Rabbanan, but the Rabbanan say v'nafal tuva mashma. The word v'nafal could mean tuva. It could actually mean many. Rashi says v'nafal tuva mashma kamo v'asa b'tzalel v'aliyav. It talks about B'tzal and Ahaliyav, but it says v'asa. Uva ha'os v'hamofes. It says uva, but it talks about the os and the mofes. Uva ha'ari v'esadov, also uva ha'ari v'esadov. You can use the singular even though you're referring to both. And therefore, since that is the case according to the Rabbanan, so the o really is necessary l'chalek according to the Rabbanan. But the Gemara continues, Ema v'nafal klal, shor v'chamor prat, klal uprat, ein b'chlal elamasha v'prat. Why don't we say instead that what we're dealing here is with what we call a klal uprat? The word v'nafal means klal, anything falls into the pit, but then it says shor and chamor, which is a prat. It's specifying specifically an ox and a donkey, and the rule generally is ein b'chlal elamasha v'prat, that we only include the things that are listed, shor v'chamor in, midi achrin lo, we should say only if a shor and chamor fall in, and anything else, it should be pater. And so the Gemara says, Amri, they say the answer as follows, Bal Habur Yishalim Chazaru Klal, that when it says Bal Habur Yishalim, that's actually another Klal. So it's not a Klal Uprat, rather it's Klal Uprat Uklal, it's a Klal Prat Uklal, Iyat Hadon Elakain HaPrat, and what we say is we include anything that is similar to the Prat, similar to those things that are specified in the Pasuk, Mahaprat Mefurish Balei just like the Prat is talking about Balei living animals, Afkol Balei so too, we're talking about Balei and the Gemara says, Ima HaPrat Mefurish Davar Shenivlosim Etama B'ma now, if you're going to say it has to be similar to the prat, when it comes to shor and chamor, those are items that the nevela is metame. If you have the carcass of these animals, it's metame b'mago uvemasa, by touching or by carrying. Af kol davar shenivlasa metame b'mago uvemasa. Maybe we're only including animals that the nevela is tame b'mago uvemasa. Aval ofos lo. Maybe we would say to exclude birds. How do we know that birds are included? And the Gemara says to that, if that was the case, if we meant to exclude ophos, we would just need to write one of the prats, meaning either shor or chamor. You would not need to write both. And Rashi explains, Midi Achrina Lo, again we should say nothing else should really be included. It should only be shor and chamor, ushar mili minolin. How do we know the other items? And the Gemara then said that it's really a klal, uprat, uklal, and therefore we say all balei chayim, af kol balei chayim, so to all living animals. L'Rabbanan kametaris lo. Now Rashi notes that's according to the Rabbanan, because according to the Rabbanan it's specifically by animals. But again we say shor v'lo adam, chamor v'lo kalim. We exclude vessels. Well, Rabbi Yehuda asa o v'Rabbi Afshar metaltalin. According to Rabbi Yehuda, as we said, the word o comes along and says other metaltalin, things like kalim, are chayiv as well. Ophos ein metamin b'mago v'masa. When it comes to birds, they are not tamei when it comes to touching or carrying when you're talking about the nevela. And the Gemara says, Im kain delo Rabbi elamai dedami le leprata mishneit stadin. If that is the case, that we're only including something that is similar to the prat from two sides, meaning to say we're only including something that's balei chayim and it has to be nevlasa metame b'mago v'masa, so then lichtov rachman achad prat, it could have just written one prat, o shor o chamor, just write either shor or chamor, v'darshinam kol ke'in prat, and we would say it has to be similar to the prat, umidekasav idach, from the fact that it says both shor and chamor, emeino inyan ledavar shenevlasa metame. So you don't need that other prat to tell you that it has to be the nevela's tame, da'asi b'chlala, because that's already included. Taneyu inyan la'ofos. So then we can say that instead we're going to learn ophos from that extra prat. The damu leprata b'chadsad, that ophos are similar to the prat in one way. To have a balechayim, they're living animals just like the prat. Ve'ikol amifrach, and you could ask, hashta de tarvayu tzrichin, now that they're both necessary, mehecham emayit adam. So then how do we know to exclude adam? Why do we know that people are excluded? Elamehach milsa de ophos makshiv azil adamapik le mikule taima. But the Gemara is going to go on and discuss ophos a little until they'll explain the entire idea. And the Gemara continues, hey nichtov, which one of the two prats alone could have been written, meaning if we were excluding ophos, we said that we could have just written one of the two prats, either shor or chamor, which one alone would have been sufficient? The Gemara says neither one alone would be sufficient. Ikasav shor, because if the pasuk only wrote shor, havamina karv legavi mizbeach in she'eno karv legavi mizbeach lo, I would think only animals that are brought on the mizbeach are part of the halachas of the liability of bor, but if it's an animal that's not brought on the mizbeach, it's not included. Because of rachmana chamor, if the pasuk only wrote chamor, I would think only animals that have the sanctity of bechora, of the firstborn, are included, like chamor, but animals that don't have the sanctity of the bechora of the firstborn are not included. And so therefore we really do need both shor and chamor, and we're back to our original question, why don't we exclude ophos? And the Gemara says, Elam Arkrad, rather it's because the pasuk says v'hamesi elo, the pasuk says by bor that he keeps the mace, and we understand that to mean kol debar misa, anything that's capable of death, meaning to say all animals are included. But the Gemara says that if the pasuk says it's only things that are capable of death, so bein l'rabbanan to come imati l'hu kalim, whether you're following the rabbanan who have a specific pasuk to exclude kalim, we say chamor v'lo kalim, or bein l'Rabbi Yehuda to come marbi lo kalim, or whether you're following Rabbi Yehuda that kalim are included in liability by bor, but kalim b'nei misaninu. But why are kalim even in the discussion here? Are kalim capable of death? It's as if we're saying they're included in the category in the first place. They shouldn't be included in any way, shape, or form because they're not capable of dying. And the Gemara says to that, Amri, the answer to that's not true. Shavi Rasan Zuhi Misasim, because it could be the breaking of Kalim is considered their death, and therefore they could be included in terms of V'hamesi Elo, and therefore again, according to the Rabbanan, they're excluded because Chamor V'lo Kalim. According to Rabbi Yehuda, they're included from the word O. But the Gemara continues, but what about according to the Shita of Rav? To Amar Bor Shechayva Olav Torah Lahavlo V'lo Lachavto. Rav says that Bor is Chayiv in the Torah for the bad air, not for the impact. So still we have a question. Bein l'Rabbanan, bein l'Rabbi Yehuda, whether you're following the Rabbanan or Rabbi Yehuda, again the Rabbanan specifically exclude Kalim, Rabbi Yehuda includes Kalim, but Kalim b'nei havlaninu, how are Kalim have anything to do with anything? They're not capable of being damaged by the bad air. That's something only by living creatures. Why are we even discussing Kalim when it comes to Bor according to Rav? And the Gemara says, Amri, the answer to that, Bechadati, we're talking about new Kalim, the Mifki may have, it is possible that they can break because of the Hevel, because of the bad air. But the Gemara continues, this pasuk v'hamesi elo, we already used it earlier for what Rava taught. Now we're using it to say that it has to be a living creature, but didn't we use it for the teaching of Rava? Diyamar Rava, because Rava said, shor psule hamukdashin shenafa lebor, if a shor of disqualified hektish fell into bor, this is what we just discussed on the previous Amud, Potter, so in that case the Baal Habor is actually Potter. Shenemar v'hamesi elo b'misha meis shelo. It says v'hamesi elo, it has to be where the person is able to use, is able to fully acquire that dead body of the animal. That it comes to exclude psuli hamakdashin, where the mace is not really his, where there are restrictions. And so therefore it can't be that we're learning all animals from v'hamesi elo. And so the Gemara instead says another source, rather it's because the pasuk says, Kesef Yoshiv L'Ba'alav, it says that you return the money to the owner, L'Rabos Kol De Islay Bailam, that includes anything that has owners, and therefore all animals are included. And the Gemara says, well, if that's true, if so, Afilu Kalim V'Adam Nami, then even Kalim and Adam should also be included, because those are also things that Islay Bailam, they can have ownership by both Kalim and Adam. And the Gemara says, Amar Kro, well, it's because the pasuk says, Shor V'Lo Adam, Chamor V'Lo Kalim. It says specifically Shor and not Adam, it says Chamor and not Kalim, and that's why they're excluded. And the Gemara continues, Rabbi Yehuda to kamarbi luhu lekalim. Now, according to Rabbi Yehuda, who includes kalim, bishlama shor memayit bei adam. I understand the word shor is now used to exclude adam. Ela chamor may memayit bei. But what is the word chamor excluding according to Rabbi Yehuda? And so the Gemara continues, Elama Rava, rather Rava says, Chamor de bor le Rabbi Yehuda, the word Chamor by bor according to Rabbi Yehuda, and also Vesed da Aveda le divrei hakol, the word said by Aveda according to everyone. Kasha, those are indeed difficult. We don't know what those words are used for. And Rashi explains, Vesed Aveda, the word said by Aveda, Kaven Dechsiv, meaning to say, since the pasuk says, L'chol Aveda Sachicha, anything that your brother loses, talking about the halachos of Hashavas Aveda, Lamali Dekasav Rachmana Chamor, Veshor, Vesev, Vesalma, why does the pasuk need to specify all these items like Chamor and Shor and Seh and Salma? Over Parakelim Matzias Darshinalo, in Parakelim Matzias, we actually darshan all of the words, Lakulu, all of them are darshan Bar Miseh, except for the word Seh. And the Gemara continues at the two dots. The Mishnah said, Nafal esocho shor cheresh shota v'katan chayev. If into the pit falls a shore that is either a shore that's a cheresh shota v'katan, meaning to say it's a shore that did not have the intelligence or that wasn't able to avoid the pit, then chayev, then the owner of the bore is chayev. And the Gemara says, "My shor cheresh shota v'katan." What does it mean, a shor cheresh shota v'katan? And the Gemara says, "Ilema shor shel cheresh, shor shel shota, shor shel katan." If you say that it means a shore that belongs to a cheresh, or a shore that belongs to a shota, or a shore that belongs to a katan, hashor shel pikeach pater, that would imply that if the shore belongs to a regular, intelligent person, then all of a sudden the bala bor would be pater. Rashi says, hashel pikeach pater bitmiya. That wouldn't make any sense. Heicha patre kra. Why would the pasuk say pater in that case? And so therefore the Gemara explains, as we said, Amar Rabbi Yochanan says, shor shehu cheresh, shor shehu shota, shor shehu katan. We mean an ox that is a cheresh, it's deaf. We mean an ox that is a shota, that's an imbecile. We mean a shore that is a katan. Again, these are shores that would not have been able to stay away from the pit, and we will continue with this discussion in the next video on Daf Nun Daled Amud Beis.